welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jenna Redfield, and today I'm going to be walking you guys through how to use Notion 101. You just downloaded Notion, you're like, what do I do? So I'm making this video because I've been teaching Notion, but I haven't really gone back to the basics. And I have a ton of different videos that you can watch that have a lot of different in-depth tutorials, but never one that was really more of a basics, getting started guide. So that's what this video is going to be. I'm going to be walking you through why I chose Notion as a platform, what you can do with it, some ideas, as well as the technicalities of how it works. So let's just get started. Make sure to subscribe for more videos. I do a ton of stuff about Notion and ADHD and marketing, so make sure to subscribe. Okay, so the first thing that people always ask me is, what is Notion? So Notion is a project management tool that is used in a little bit of a different way. Mostly because it has flexible views where you can embed different tables and databases and a lot of different embeddable things, which is very different than a lot of the other softwares out there. Softwares like Airtable, Trello, Asana, ClickUp, Monday, none of them are really functioning in this way where it's super flexible in the way that things are viewed. I've tried all of those and they just didn't really fit my brain in the way that I wanted to see things and how you can actually have pages within pages, which again is not something you can really do. A lot of those other ones are very forced in the views of what they have and you can't really change that. And for someone whose brain doesn't quite work the way a neurotypical does, I needed something that I could actually really customize to how I wanted to see it, which is why I think a lot of ADHD people use Notion. So one thing that's really exciting about Notion is last year they announced something called an API, which sounds really technical, but basically what it means is it now allows other apps to come into Notion as well. They link to each other. There's three main apps that do this: Zapier, Automate.io, and Integromat. These are the ones I found. And Automate.io just was recently purchased by Notion, so I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more automations inside of the app. So what does this mean? This means that you can actually connect to apps like Google Drive, Google Docs, any of your social media accounts using Buffer. You can connect to things like YouTube, or you can connect to your email marketing software. So say somebody signs up for your email list, you can automate that with Zapier to send that into a Notion database. So it's kind of like Google Sheets, but like way better. That's kind of how I describe it to people. It's like Google Sheets, but way better. Imagine a spreadsheet coming to life with videos and images and calendars. That's basically what Notion is. One of the first things that you're going to want to do when you start with Notion is look into some of the templates. The reason I say this is it helps you kind of see some of the ways that Notion works and how you can actually organize it. So Notion itself actually has a ton of templates. If you go to the bottom left-hand corner and click on templates, there is probably about 50 to 100 different templates you can download. But one of the things I always like to tell people is, templates are great, but you really need to build out a system. So there's quite a few YouTubers out there that actually do talk about having things interlinked and building more of a system and connected network of different pages. So some of the people that I recommend watching if you're brand new to Notion are William Nutt, Marie Poulin, Red Gregory, August Bradley. There's a couple more like Daniel Canosa and just a few others that teach Notion really well. I'm one of those people as well. I'm trying to get up to their level, but there's some really great teachers out there. I would say August Bradley is a great place to start because he's the one that I discovered first, and he's the one that really convinced me to use Notion. His system is really interlinked and really great. So you might be thinking, well, what do I use Notion for? Well, I have a really great resource for that. It's called my 35 board ideas. And it really goes through a bunch of different ways that you can use Notion if you haven't thought of them before. So I'd make sure to check that out. I'll leave that in the link below as well as right above me. But basically Notion can be used for a ton of different things, from your work to your life. I use it to organize everything from my house and all the things in it to vacation plans, I'm using it to plan my content creation calendar. I use it for just tracking a lot of things in my business, organizing lists and databases of contacts. It's really great as, again, like a database Wikipedia for yourself. And all the links can interlink between, so if you're looking for something, you can search for it in the top, which is super helpful. So that's really why I use Notion and kind of a little bit of intro into what it is. I did want to then talk about kind of how to use it, some of the basics. So I will kind of keep narrating, and then I'll cut over to myself kind of showing you guys how to do this. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to see when you open up Notion is you are going to see an untitled blank page, right? So the first thing you can do is you can name that page. Now, when you type that in, that's going to name it whatever. I'm going to just call it test page. Now, there's two things you can do up here. One is add an icon. Now, you can either upload your own image or add a link to an image, or usually I just pick an emoji because I just tend to find that easier. So let's just pick this one. Then you can add a cover. So I like to add a cover. You can change the cover by choosing a gallery image. I usually either go to Unsplash or I upload my own. You can search for something. Let's just type in boat because that's what we're using. Let's pick this one. So basically that's what you can use to kind of have almost like a cover photo, but you can also upload your own. You can reposition it if you want to. This is a great way to have a copyright-free image using Unsplash. Now, you can use this like a straight up word processor like Word. Start typing in, this is a test page. It's really that you could literally use Notion as basically a Word document. I would say there's a lot more options than that. But I also wanted to mention, if I go away from this, you'll see that there's a couple of different options here. Right here where it says empty with icon, this is actually a template within Notion. So if I just click that, you'll see that's basically what it is, empty. But then also here you can see you can add all of the templates that you want over here on the left or on the right. So Life Wiki, Habit Tracker, I'm going to discard. So I did want to also mention where you can find Notion templates. Gumroad is a great option. If you just search Notion in the Discover area, you will see all of the different Notion templates. A couple other sites that you can check out is like notionary.com, which has a ton of different templates. So that's a great one as well, or just go to the individual creators. Some other places you can find them are Etsy, Creative Market. There's lots of places to buy. When you buy a template, you are going to see a duplicate button on the top right-hand corner. So let me show you an example. So if I share this to the web, you'll see there's a duplicate button here. You're just going to click that, and then it will log you into whichever account, and then it will duplicate that back into your account. Basically, you can do a bunch of different things in there. You can also import from other apps like Evernote, Trello, Asana. You can only do this when you're on this page and it has this option. If there's any text on here, you can't do that anymore. So you have to make sure it's a blank page if you want to import. Now there's 6 different types of database views. There's table, board, list, calendar, gallery, and timeline. I'll go through each of those in a second when we go through the types of databases. But if you click the forward key, you'll see that there's a bunch of different blocks. So the first one that's obvious is text. It'll just start typing. This is a test page. The second one is you can actually create a sub-page. So when you're on Wikipedia, you can actually, have a page with it. So let's do a page and a page. So this actually creates a new page. So now you see, if you go to that page, it links it. So it's kind of like a hyperlink, like a page within a page. You can also change the icon, and then you can, move this around as you would like. So this is literally creating a new page. You can also create a to-do list. I don't do this much, but you can. To do, you just click enter. So that's another option. You can create different heading sizes. So if you want it to be large, so you could say section 2, you can do that. So they're different sizes, similar to like a website. You can also create a simple table. This is kind of a new feature where if you just want a simple table, you can add different things on each side. So this is not a database, but you can convert it into a database if you'd like, and then it would actually turn it into a database. The next one is a bulleted list. So you can create bullets. Let's do that again. Bulleted list, testing. So it's similar to the to-do. All right, the next one down is a numbered list. So you can do 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, so the next section is toggle list. So this is kind of cool. If you want to hide something, you can do, let's just do testing again. And then if you go like this, you can actually do testing 2, whatever. You can also put something else in there if you wanted to. You could put a quote, and then you'll see how it closes that. So that's a great way to do something also. The next one you can do is, again, a quote, which is basically, it kind of just makes it look better. Adds a little thing on the left, quote. That's quote. I don't use that one super often. Divider is great if you're trying to divide between sections of a page. A link to a page, so this is different than making a page. This actually links to a page that already exists. So basically this is just like a shortcut. It doesn't actually create a new page, but it's a straight up link to another page. And you'll see with the little tiny arrow, that's when it's a link and not the actual original page itself. And so if you delete that, it doesn't delete the page, it just deletes the shortcut. And then call out, I really like call out, but one of my favorite hacks is turning it into white, because then it adds a little bit of this surrounding, and you have to have an icon, so you can change the icon to whatever, and this can actually be its own thing. So you can basically turn that into something with like an outline. So you can change it into whatever color you want. All right, so that's the first of those basic blocks. Now, some other things you can do is you can mention a person, you can mention a page. So that's where you like at them. You can add a date or reminder in text. You can add an emoji, or you can add an inline equation. I don't use a ton of these very often, so I'm not going to walk you through them, but if you want to check them out, you can. I'm a big fan of databases, and again, there's a bunch of different views, but basically you can have them be inline or full page. So what this means is an inline is actually inserted into a page. So you'll see right here, it's kind of just within the page. But if you chose to do a table that's a full page, it starts a new page for you. Because basically this means that the table is the page. So you can't add anything to this page like you would on a regular page. You can see I can't like add anything below it. But if I insert it as an inline table, I can add things below it. Okay, I also wanted to mention that you can turn a table into a page. So if you see this as a linked page right here, but you want to actually turn that into almost like an inline, you're going to click turn into inline. This only works if the whole page is a table. So if you wanted to create a page and there was a bunch of other things in the page, you cannot turn that whole page into an inline. You're just going to have to move all those elements back to the page. I also wanted to share how to create a linked database. So if you type in the word link, it will actually search for a database, not a page. So I'm going to type in testing 1, 2, 3. You will see that it now links back to this page. So if I do anything here, you will see that it does the same thing. But you can also create filtered views, sort, group however you want. That's what you can do. And so again, if I delete it, it goes away. This page stays intact because it's the original database. I can open this as a page as well. I can open this one as a page as well. But when it's an inline here, you can add things around it. So I'm going to delete these. So by naming the database, it's also like naming a page. So I'll go testing 1, 2, 3. And then again, if I view it this way, you can also add the icon, etc. So let's go back. So this is the original view, which always most of the time starts as a table. So it's similar to like a Google Sheets or Excel, and you can add different property types, which we'll go through. So let's just call this testing 1, 2, 3, testing 3, 4, 5. So these are now their own pages. So you can open it as a page. And when it's a page like this, where it's part of a table, you'll see it has those tags. So let's add a tag, job. Let's do job, personal, family. I mean, you can add whatever tags you want. You can also change the colors. So if you go here, you can change the colors of the tag. And now this is the page you'll see right here. So when I change those tags within the page, it also changed them within the table. So this is helpful. Say you're, trying to track down something and you have a list. I can show you some examples in a second. But as you're within a table, there's 6 different views. So let's view it from a board view. So Kanban board, similar to like Trello, you'll see that it's grouped right now by tags. So because this one had 3 different tags, it's in all 3. But if we start one that has only 1 tag, let's do testing 987 and only going to put personal, you'll see that it only shows up in personal. And if it has no tags, it shows up here. So we can also move this, and when we move it into this, it will actually add the tag. So that's board view. So you can flip back and forth. You can also rename the board. So you could call this like planning or future planning, right? So that's a view of the board. The next view you can do is a timeline. So this is where you're going to need dates. So right now this doesn't have a date, but it adds it when there's a timeline view. So let's just say that this goes from the 1st, and we add an end date, to the 3rd. So say you're going on like a trip and it's 3 days long. Now you'll see that, where did that go? You see it right here? That is now within this timeline view. But also, if you add another view on calendar, you'll see it covers this as well. So calendar also uses the date option. You'll see that there's no date for some of these, so you want to add a date if you're doing things that need dates. There's also list view. I think this is the one I use the least. It's really just like, again, like a list. I don't use this one super often. And then gallery is great, especially if you have images. You can either add an image option here with a file or media. You can call it photo, and then the photo will show up. Or you can add it to the cover, and then in the properties, you can select if you want to show the page content, the page cover, or the photo, or whichever photo you have uploaded. And that's what you'd see in the gallery right here. And I'll show you guys some examples of that. So those are the 6 types of views in a table or in a database, but I want to show you guys some of the other things that you can do. Okay. So we've got the date, we've got some tags, we've got a photo. What else can we add here? We can add basic text, so we could call it like description. So you could start typing in info about this item. You can create a number. So if there's a price, or maybe you have a number of units, and then you can add a number, 255, I mean, whatever you want. So that's a number. And again, like if you go into future planning, you can group it now by whatever. You can group it by number of units. You can change that. You can group it by date. You can literally group it by whatever you want in this table. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Select is different than multi-select. So you'll see one has the downward and one has the multiple. This means you can select multiple, while this one you only have one choice. So if I put in family and then I put in personal, you'll see it only allows me to select one. So I can't select multiple. So that's like basically a one select, and this one you can select multiple. So that's single select. And then we got date. Person is if you have multiple people in your database and you want to assign it to someone. So if this is like a task that you're wanting to do, you can have someone assign it. You could say person in charge. So that's helpful for project management. All right, this one's really helpful checkbox for if you are viewing something and you need it to be checked off. So you can actually either have it checked or unchecked. One of the things you can do with filters is you can just view the table where the done is either checked or unchecked. So let's see all the ones that are unchecked. So if I check this, it'll go away because it's filtered only to where the done option is unchecked. It's not gone. If I remove the filter, it's still there, but the view that I have is different. So filters is probably one of the most important things that you need to learn how to use because it's a way to see tables in different ways. All right, let's keep going. We've got URL. So if you need like a website, it actually turns it into a link. So I could do www.twitter.com. So now that's a link. And again, you can always rename it. There is also email. So if you have someone's email, jennaredfield@gmail.com. So that's now there. And then the last one, obviously phone number. I'm not gonna put my phone number on there, but you get the point. Don't want to give that away. So now there is some advanced options. So I'm just gonna kind of walk through these. I might do another video on them because they're kind of a little bit more complicated. Now a formula is similar to something that you'd see in like Excel, right? There's all these different options. You kind of have to know how to use it. And I'm definitely not a formula expert. I would go to Red Gregory's YouTube channel. And then relation is a big one that I like to use. And what you can do is you can actually relate it to another database. So let me just type in the Brain, which is one of my biggest databases that has a ton of different links. So if I type in Brain, now you'll see that literally so many things pop up. I have like almost 4,000 items in there. Everything from movies I've seen, books I've read. So you can type in whatever. These are like YouTube channels that I watch. Let's, say like Audacity, that's a website or app that I use. You can see now I link over to that. And if I click into Audacity as a page, you'll see now that it's related to this testing page, right? But it has all these other links. So basically what it does is it links two different databases together and you can tag another app or whatever it is. And it's back and forth. So then that page also gets linked back to that. So that's basically what relational does. I use it in my recipe one, which you can get on my Gumroad account, which is a great place to buy templates. If you haven't been to Gumroad, they have a ton of Notion templates, but I have my link below. And I relate, for example, recipes. I have a relational database to the items within the database, like ingredients, right? So roll-ups are something that basically what it does is you have to have a relational database in order for a roll-up to work. But what I could do is I could configure the roll-up. So I'd choose an existing relation, the Brain, but instead of choosing the title, I could actually create something like, what was the date that it was added? Oh, I don't think that one has it. I could call it maybe status, using. It could be category, podcast. So you could actually have this. So instead of you doing it again, it actually just takes the information from this original database and shows you that part of it. So this is helpful, for example, if you have a database and you are trying to list someone's contact information and you have a separate contacts folder. So I actually do have this. So if I type in if I make a new relation over to contacts, and I'm just going to choose myself, I think, because I'm pretty sure I'm in there. Yeah. So if I do that, and this is now called contacts, instead of like having to find the email, right? I would create a roll-up where the contacts, I could select contact email, if that's there. Let's see, what do I have in this one? Website URL link. There we go. So basically you can roll up something that is set up that way. So that's basically how you use Notion from a basic perspective. Some you can also create some of these as well when you created it, if you'd like to add that on there. But so now what does that mean? So you've got this table, right? There's the different views. You can see it this way. So that's basically what a lot of the other videos on my channel talk about, is how to actually use that. So let me just go into the Brain for a second. So you'll see that I have a bunch of different views. So I have all the things in my Brain folder. I've got, let's say, these are just Chrome extensions. You'll see right here, it's filtered where the media platform is Chrome extension. So I created a media platform and there's all these different options. So right now, this is just showing the option where it's Chrome extension. So now if I just wanted to quickly find all my Chrome extensions, I just go to the Chrome extension filtered database view. Now, when you set this up, it saves the filter. So until you get rid of this filter, like all of these are filtered. So this is books, and this is filtered so that the type is book. So that way it's easy for you to go back and forth. But beyond just flipping back and forth, you can also embed any view you want. So if you go back to my main life tracker, so this is based off my template, you'll see I have embedded the Life Tracker Habits Roll-Up template, and you can see that it's filtered so that the date is today, and I added a view that is gallery view. So this is like, again, if I go back to the main database, it's a regular table. You can see that it actually just looks like this, but it's actually filtered and set up in a view that is gallery. Same with this. This is a regular table view, and if I go back, you'll see the whole thing. All of these are linked pages. You don't have this on the template because these are just my personal ones, but you can see these are the original. Like this is a Life OS template that I got. So I have, a calendar, cleaning, purchases, contacts, etc. So that's like a template that I got. And again, you can move things around. So I have a whole video on how to embed things. So you can embed things like here, I embedded this widget. So that's really helpful to have. You can also embed things like quick links. You can also embed like YouTube videos, PDFs, so many different things. So I kind of didn't get to that, did I? So if you go back to the test page that we're on, you can actually scroll down further after you get through the databases, and there's a couple of other options. Images, web bookmarks, video, audio, code, file. Here's where you can also embed things. Or if you just paste the embed link, like a Spotify link or whatever, it automatically can say create embed. Tweets, GitHub, Google Maps, all of these things can be embedded. And then they also have some things like, one of the things I use is a syncs block, which is basically, you can, if I do that and I move this in, it's actually going to be synced, and you can copy it and move it to another page, and everything will be exactly the same. So that's really helpful if you want something like that. So you can also turn things into different things, right? So you could also create toggle headings. This is a new one, heading 1. So it's similar to the toggle block, but it's just larger, like the headings. So that's really a really quick kind of summary of Notion. I do have a ton of other videos. So for this one, this is kind of just figuring out, okay, what are the basics of Notion? What can it do? I don't want to be able to spend, an hour on this because you guys have a lot of things to work on, but this is a great starter video if you're just trying to figure out Notion for the first time. I also think that a lot of it has to do with just playing around, watching other YouTube videos, trying out templates. Some of them have like blown my mind to figure out, oh, that's how that works. So I hope that this is helpful for you guys. I am going to do some more videos on some specific things within Notion, but also on ADHD. So hope you guys subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.